Zhai, Episode 4, Wall Painting. Meng Longtan from Jiangxi and scholar Zhu were staying as guests in the capital. They happened to visit a temple. The halls and lodgings were not very spacious, and only an itinerant old monk was temporarily staying there. When the old monk saw guests entering, he tidied his clothes and came out to greet them, guiding them to tour the temple. In the main hall, there was a portrait of Master Baozi with hands and feet shaped like bird claws. The murals on both sides of the wall were extremely exquisite, and the figures on them were very lifelike. On the east wall were painted many celestial maidens scattering flowers. Among them was a girl with long hair, holding a flower and smiling. Her cherry-like mouth seemed about to speak, and her eyes seemed about to move. Scholar Zhu stared at her for a long time, and unconsciously became infatuated, immediately immersed in contemplation of admiration. Suddenly, he felt his body floating gently as if riding in the clouds and had already entered the mural. He saw the palaces and pavilions one after another, which were no longer scenes of the human world. There was an old monk preaching Buddhist teachings on the seat, surrounded by many monks listening. Scholar Zhu also stood among them. After a while, it seemed that someone secretly pulled his lapel. Looking back, it was the girl with long hair, smiling and walking away. Scholar Zhu immediately followed her. Passing through the winding fences, the girl entered a small room. Scholar Zhu stopped and dared not go forward. The girl turned back, raised the flower in her hand, and greeted him from afar. Scholar Zhu then followed her in. Seeing that the room was silent and empty, he hugged the girl, and she did not resist much, so they became intimate. Soon the girl closed the door and went out, instructing Scholar Zhu not to cough and make noises. At night, she came again. After 2 days like this, the female companions noticed and jointly searched out Scholar Zhu, jokingly saying to the girl, "How old is the child in your belly? Are you still wearing your hair like a maiden?" Then they brought hairpins and earrings and urged her to change her hairstyle to that of a young married woman. The girl was too ashamed to speak. One of the female companions said, "Sisters, let's not stay here for long. I'm afraid someone will be unhappy." The female companions laughed and left. Scholar Zhu looked at the girl. Her cloud-like bun was towering, and the phoenix hairpin for tying the bun was drooping. She was even more stunning than when she had long hair. Seeing that there was no one around, he gradually became intimate with the girl. The smell of orchid and musk was refreshing. They were immersed in the joy of men and women, accompanied by the clattering of rope chains. Immediately, there were also chaotic noises of arguments. The girl got up in alarm and secretly looked out with Scholar Zhu. They saw a god in iron armor with a black face like lacquer, holding a rope chain and a big mallet. Many women surrounded him. The god in golden armor said, "Are all here?" The women replied, "All are here." He said again, "If there is anyone hiding a mortal from the lower realm, you must report it immediately. Don't bring trouble upon yourselves." All the women said in unison, "There isn't." The god in golden armor turned around and looked around fiercely like a fish hawk, as if to search. The girl was very afraid, her face as pale as death. In panic, she said to Scholar Zhu, "Hide under the bed quickly." She herself opened the small door on the wall and fled in a hurry. Scholar Zhu lay under the bed, not daring to breathe. Soon they heard the sound of leather boots coming into the room and then going out. After a while, the noise of the crowd gradually faded away, and Scholar Zhu's mood became a little more stable. However, there were always people talking and discussing outside the door. He lay uneasily for a long time, feeling his ears buzzing like cicadas and his eyes burning. He could hardly endure it, but he could only listen quietly, waiting for the girl to return. He didn't even remember where he came from. At that time, Meng Longton was in the main hall. In the blink of an eye, Scholar Zhu disappeared. So he asked the old monk strangely. The old monk smiled and said, "He went to listen to the preaching of Buddhist teachings." Meng Longton asked, "Where?" The old monk replied, "Not far." After a while, the old monk tapped the wall with his finger and called out, "Benefactor Zhu has been playing for so long. Why hasn't he returned?" Immediately, the image of Scholar Zhu appeared on the mural. He stood with his ear tilted, as if he heard. The old monk called again, "Your companion has been waiting for a long time." Scholar Zhu then floated down from the wall, dejected and standing still, with eyes wide open and feet weak. Meng Longtan was greatly surprised and slowly asked him. It turned out that Scholar Zhu was just lying under the bed, hearing the sound of knocking on the wall like thunder. He came out of the room to listen and have a look. At this time, when they looked at the girl holding the flower on the mural again, she already had a tall coiled bun and no longer had long hair. Scholar Zhu was very surprised and saluted the old monk, asking him what was going on. The old monk smiled and said, "Illusions arise from people's hearts. How can I, a poor monk, explain it?" Scholar Zhu felt depressed in his chest, while Meng Longtan was horrified and at a loss. The two immediately got up to take their leave, went down the steps, and left through the door. Pu Songling said, "Illusions are originally produced by people's thoughts. This statement is reasonable. When people have lustful hearts, they create a state of disrespect. When people have filthy hearts, they create a state of terror. Bodhisattvas teach ignorant and confused people. They use all kinds of illusions. What everyone can see is produced by their own mental activities. The Bodhisattva has good intentions. Unfortunately, many people cannot understand the true principle. They are just putting on airs."